Thank you so much, Catherine, for having me at this incredible event, Women Leading on Climate. It's so important as we are go into COP, hoping to get a really good result out of it. Reflections from my side today on a number of issues that are raised. For instance, why does climate change have a disproportionate impact on women and girls? And for us, you know, it's a real belief in gender equalities across the board, and in particular in access to natural resources, finance, technology, knowledge, mobility, and other productive assets constrain women and girls' ability to respond and cope in a changing climate. For example, women and children are 14 times more likely than men to die during a natural disaster, and recent studies into the effect of climate change show that pregnant women are particularly vulnerable. Heat increases the chances of going into labor early, having a stillbirth, or having a baby with low birth weight, and for every extra 10 degrees of global warming, the risk of preterm birth goes up by 8%. And this is particularly stark in least developed countries, where the majority of economically active women work in agriculture, a livelihood most vulnerable to climate change. Globally, almost 1/3 of employed women work in agriculture, including forestry and fishing. However, less than 13% of agricultural landholders are women, making it even harder for them to take proactive steps to adapt and contribute to solutions. The economic and social and health repercussions of the COVID-19 pandemic have also compounded the ongoing impacts of climate change, as livelihoods and food security have suffered considerably. Yet women and girls and their needs continue to be excluded from policy discussions in this area. Laws and policies that are related to natural resources and productive assets such as land, water, and energy continue to be largely gender blind. For example, only 1/3 of 192 national energy frameworks from 137 countries include gender considerations. Another aspect of our considerations are how are women leading on climate solutions? How are we addressing climate change? Well, we can say women are paving the way towards resilience and other solutions, often relying on traditional knowledge, as well as being innovative and forward-thinking. Indigenous and peasant women are using their ancestral practices to maintain healthy soil management practices and building community resilience. In Peru, for example, Andean women farmers are at the forefront of conserving crop diversity by selecting and conserving seeds of indigenous crops that are adapted to different climates for improved yield, crop health, and flavor. Women farmers and producers are also using mobile devices to access climate and weather and market information to better understand and cope with climate change and fluctuating market conditions. So from Africa to Asia and Latin America, women farmers and producers are engaging in strategies to cope with and adapt to climate change. As well as practicing agroecology, women are leading community-based reforestation and restoration efforts. At the national and international levels, we're seeing electing women politicians can also help enact ambitious climate action. Evidence is showing that women's representation in national parliaments is linked to countries adopting more stringent climate change policies. Moreover, the presence of more women in governing boards has also encouraged the proactive pursuit of sustainable business practices, models, and opportunities, including in key climate-related sectors such as oil, gas, and mining, which can be an important stepping stone to lowering emissions in the long term. Globally, the growth rate of emissions by companies with more than 30% women board members was only 0.6% compared to 3.5% by companies without any board members. And so to what we need to do to support more women in deploying climate solutions. First, we need to recognize women and girls as powerful agents of change. They are capable resource managers and central actors in tackling climate change. We should aim for parity in the number of women delegates in climate negotiations and decision-making. We need to expand access for youth, in particular young women and girls, to climate and environment decision-making processes at all levels. Women's organizations, particularly the grassroots, are often the most knowledgeable about the specific needs and issues that are faced by communities, women, and girls in a changing climate, including disaster-prone or affected areas. Second, we need to remove the barriers and eliminate gender gaps in climate financing and technology, as well as in the social protection measures that help people withstand climate and environmental shocks. On the flip side of this, we need to actively support women's equal access to productive resources, such as land, water, and energy, by changing exclusionary laws and policies. We also need to invest in gender-responsive, climate-resilient agriculture by building and scaling up women's agroecological and indigenous approaches, and by expanding access to finance and digital technology for women and women-owned businesses that contribute to climate resilience. Better and more inclusive social protection and education will also be key. We also need to reverse current trends that keep young women and girls from attaining positions that would otherwise allow them to participate at the highest levels of international climate and environmental governance. We can start by promoting vocational education in the fields that contribute to the green economy, ensuring that they are gender responsive and encouraging women to apply.